Sawadika. Hello everyone. My name is Chaveewan Kietduriyakul. I'm a partner from Baker and McKenzie. I'm going to be your moderator for the panel discussion today. From the previous session, Mr. Shetty introduced in-depth experience in building the digital infrastructure in India, especially India Stack, which integrates the identity, payment, account aggregator, and helped India transform into a digital economy and successfully address financial inclusions and business transaction. In essence, a wide range of key digital components and services such as e-registration, corporate identity and authentication, e-signature, and data sharing among private and public agencies are very crucial in enabling the competency of business. In this session, we are going to discuss building digital highway for business in the digital era. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. First, Mr. Kukkong Ruckphaopunt, Senior Executive Vice President, Bangkok Bank Public Company Limited. Next is from our guest from Korea, Mr. Sungjun Chun, Director, Global Business Development, Korea Credit Bureau or KCB. From Thailand, we also have Kun Worawat Paarporn, Managing Director, Processing Center Company Limited or PCC. Okay, let's start with the current status of digital services environment for business. I'm going to start with Mr. Chun. Mr. Chun, can you share with us an overview on digital services and the financial ecosystem in Korea?
Yeah, thank you. It's really great honor to be here and it's in this meaningful event. And also, I think everyone here is pretty tired. So hopefully you have a really good session to finalize today's event. So today, I'd like to share our experiences in Korea regarding how we moving forward in this digital era, especially for the topic building digital highway for the business. So, basically, I try to share what is the credit bureau. So as for last 2 days session, during this 2 day session, I come to know that you have a credit bureau. It's called NCB. So like NCB, credit bureau collect the financial data from mostly from banks and other financial industry, and then after processing, we provide the credit report and the credit scoring together with other value-added service. That is the normal traditional credit bureau's role and responsibility. But recently, we have a climate change in our financial world because the people itself are making a lot of data because including me and attendee here, most people is watching the digital device and then there's a incoming message and it means that makes a lot of the data. So we have many chance to collect more data. So we say that data big bang. So not only in the financial world itself, but also other non-financial industry like the telco and utility, etc. We have more chance to collect additional data, which is not available so far. And also in the same time, in the technology-wise, with the enhancements of the computation power, new technologies comes in this industry. So we already have a session for the AI and machine learning technology. So already these technologies everywhere, including the financial world and non-financial world together. And also in the ecosystem itself, we have a new player comes in. So previously, we just live in our species only. So in Korea, credit bureau world, there is only credit bureau. But recently, alternative credit scoring player or maybe innovative credit scoring player comes in this market with additional data. So that is all resulting in our changing of the business and then also impact to the financial world together. And actually, I try to describe some of our journey in Korea because Previously, we just provide a lot of the financial information and the financial product, including the scoring product. But from the beginning, we come to know that government, because our government has a very good initiative to open public data. So they try to open the data to the private sector for the certain purpose. So by having some public sector data like the public pension data or health insurance data, this information also we collected and used for the enhancement of credit scoring and then have a benefit for the consumer, because if we have more information about the consumer, we can have a chance to increase their credit information. So by having that, this public information is used. Also, within 10 years, we started to use the telco data, because like Thailand, we have 3 major player, the telco player. So we already started the telco score, which is used the telco information for the credit evaluation purpose in the financial world. But we found out we have so much limitation to use the telco information. So instead of the just telco score usage, we decided to make a joint venture with the 3 telco score together. So now we are moving on to the telco bureau system development, and then finally the telco, I think it is the only one and the first telco bureau in Asia Pacific region, so it will be in place. And also not only for the telco data, also the utility data, including the bill payment and water payment, is all about utility score. It comes in our product. Also, even for the mobility data, like some navigation data, can be used for the certain purpose. So, and recently, our 2020, our government finally changed the law, and then we are moving on to the My Data business, which is the open banking initiative plus additional infrastructure. So now in Korea, consumer just log in our website, and then by having click, they can have a consumer consent. So My Data from bank, security, insurance, telco, also other information can be transferred somewhere like the KCB, so it can be used for a certain purpose. So we already moving on to the open banking initiative called My Data in Korea, and also even for the digital business for the digital area, by using the digital ID and the digital data for the business, we already launched a mobile-based business rating service in Korea. So, but still the evolution is in progress, and then maybe next year something new will come in our journey of this evolution. And yes. Okay, so this is the last slide of my explanation, because I try to describe what is the current picture of the Korea regarding this ecosystem, because you can see the left-hand side, the public sector, because public sector has a very precious data they can share. So by leveraging this public data, we can have a more chance to valuable data to the financial world for their credit scoring purpose. Although in the same time, with the alternative data source such as the telco and utility and others, we there have some business alliance. Oh, sorry. It doesn't work well. So somebody transfer to the next slide. Oh, yeah. So with the other industry like alternative source, so now we are already talking with the telco player, utility player, and more alternative players comes in, and then we don't know what is future like. So with this kind of the collaboration, have a synergy with a new player in the market. So like the BOT mentioned in these 2 days, new infrastructure companies burst, and then new data flow in the highway, and then new ecosystem, and then new competition comes in together. That is what happened in Korea. So, but still, in my personal opinion, still the evolution is still going on, and then what is important is that to construct a more better highway in the public perspective, and then make it the private sector goes on the evolution in their own. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chun. I think we, apart from the synergy for financial innovation and inclusion, we need more synergy with our computer guys as well, right? Okay, next, Mr. Shetty, can you share the perspective from India as well?
Sure. So the small business, if you look at the small business environment in India, we have about 60 million micro and small medium enterprises. A large number of them are sole proprietorships. And then you have, of course, partnerships, private limited, and then the public limited firms, which are in a minority. And so these MSMEs form a key part of both India's GDP as well as job creation. So they are extremely important as a community, but heavily underserved as a community as well. Traditionally, so far, most of the service delivery has been aimed around individuals within an economy. But we're seeing that slowly shift, especially as much of this infrastructure, which I described previously, is now driving formalization within the MSME sector, and that's critical. So the first step of formalization that we're seeing is these MSMEs are starting to pay their taxes, and that creates a strong trail of data. So India introduced something called the Goods and Services Tax System, the GST system, and there are about 13 million small businesses now registered within GST. And that means every quarter, every month, they're going to start generating electronic invoices, which represents their trade data. And therefore, that can be used for accessing finance beyond just paying your tax. So that's one very critical development. Second, the fact that consumers are starting to move digital is forcing businesses to digitize their supply chain. And that's what we are seeing on the digital payment side. So these 50 million merchants that have now come on board and are accepting money through electronic means are also generating digital capital. And then similarly, there has been an effort to ensure that licenses, certificates, other basically credentials, just like an individual has credentials of your school, university, driver's license, health records, etc. Small businesses also have many of these credentials and attestations. And so there's now a concentrated effort to start to digitize and make them verifiable, such that they now have a digital twin of their small business that they can then use and as part of any digital transaction to establish trust. So that's really the landscape of the current MSME ecosystem in India.
Thank you, Mr. Shetty. That's very interesting. Okay, let's also hear from Mr. Kukkong about Thailand's digital services for business, especially the role of financial institutions in supporting and building digital solution for business entities in Thailand. คุณกึกก้องค่ะ
Yes. I would like to give you the background how we build the digital infrastructure or digital service in Thailand. The first that we have to say that our digital infrastructure or highway start from the payment side is quite different from India that they start from the digital identity, or maybe in Korea from the digital data, sharing data. Okay. So in 2015 and 2016, we have the National e-payment program by the Ministry of Commerce. We would like to revise rebuild the whole payment infrastructure with later become Pompey. Okay, so this one before that time, people can transfer the money from bank account from one to other via ATM, mobile banking, but it's quite limited. Okay, so with the national e-payment platform, with later Pompey, so we allow the people to transfer money from one account to another account using not only the account number but also the citizen ID and telephone number and to all the bank in Thailand. With this platform, then we can build a lot of the digital product on top. You can call the, let's say, the QR payment. You can have the request to pay, and then you can have the e-donation. So once that we have a digital highway, then all the digital product will be built on top, which is quite popular now, especially the QR payment now in Thailand. And also Thailand quite, I think is number one in the digital payment. So when we have the people enjoy the digital payment via Pompey and using the mobile banking, then we face another problem. How can we onboard the customer? We don't want the customer that would like to use mobile banking to go to the branch, do the sign on the physical paper and apply for the mobile banking. So then we then thinking about the digital ID, which is later on we have established the national digital ID, which is NDID. So the concept is also regarding to the sharing information. It means that with the NDID, people that belong to one bank can open an account or service with other bank online. You don't have to go to the branch. The system will connect bank system together via NDID. Okay. And this one is we come in time when we have the COVID. People would like to open the mobile banking to use the QR payment to transfer the money. They don't have to go to the branch anymore. They can use the NDID service to open account, apply for the mobile banking. And also with this NDID, we also come up with different products like e-consent. So when people would like to lend the money from the bank, so we can have the e-consent to request the data from NCB, National Credit Bureau. Okay, so that's one product. And also the Revenue Department, they also use the NDID as a means for customer authentication to get the service from the Revenue Department. Okay. Also for the another one is a digital tax. When we have a lot of digital payment and also the QR payment for the small merchant or corporate, it means that people need to pay tax. So we have a product with the Revenue Department, which is e-tax or e-withholding tax. It means that when you make a payment, system can send both the payment data and withholding tax to the Revenue Department. So that's a product from the Pompey as well. And also we have another one later with the Revenue Department, what we call e-donation. In Thailand, people donate a lot, and normally you use a card and you get the paper receipt, and at the end you have to use this receipt to apply for the tax refund. With the e-donation, you don't have to do anything. Once that you use the e-donation, money will go to the institution that you donate for, and then the information will go to the Revenue Department. By the end of year, you don't have to ask for the tax refund. That will automatically include in your tax information when you pay the tax. So you will see that once that we have the platform, digital platform, you can build a digital product on top of it. Okay, and lately, so we come to the last one is the trade. trade involve a lot of paper, and also very complicated. It involve a lot of stakeholder from the buyer, seller, and also you have the invoice, PO, everything. So we think that to complete our digital highway, we have to do something with trade. That's why the Bank of Thailand initiate the prompt trade for domestic. Prompt trade, you can heard a lot in this convention that it will help the SME, especially SME, to transact each other between seller and buyer. They can send a PO invoice, and later on we'll tie it up with the payment, and so also with the e-tax as well. So that one is an ecosystem for the trade, for the SME. That was called PromptBiz. Another initiative that I would like to talk about, this one is also about the international trade. For the domestic trade is the PromptBiz, okay? And then we have international trade as well. How we can connect digitally to other party in different countries. That's why we have the program called National Digital Trade Platform, NDTP, last year. And we have a showcase in the APEC Summit last year in Thailand that to show how we can send the trade information from Thailand to Japan and to Singapore. We partner with PromptBiz in Japan and also the NTP in Singapore. And we do the pilot showcase at ASEAN APEC Summit last year. So with that success, that we would like to enhance further to make it commercial. That's why we have the another program called Prompt Trade. Prompt Trade will be the digital trade gateway for Thailand to connect to other countries to facilitate trade information like invoice, PO, packing list, even the EBL is possible in the future. So this one is ongoing, and this one is sponsored by TBA, Thai Banker Association, and also we consult with the Bank of Thailand as well. So if you see that on the digital highway for Thailand, we begin with the payment, then the digital ID with the digital text, and then the trade. We see the PromptBiz and the prompt trade. Okay, so that you will think that why, and the power behind this one is all the financial institution, because we think that all the bank with the leader by the BOT, we can build this kind of ecosystem, because this ecosystem is not quite easy to build. It requires a lot of collaboration and technical expertise, and we have a technical expert from various banks that come and join to design, and build all of this system together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ka. I think when we see this in the diagram, especially for our Thai people, we all appreciate how we have gone so far and then how it has changed our life into a better way. Anyway, thanks everyone. Although business and financial institutions have tried to transact digitally from end to end, we still have to admit that this still hasn't been fully realized. Maybe we can ask Mr. Shetty, can you share with our audience the missing piece and main challenges for the implementation of the digital services and transaction in business, as well as the main challenges in terms of collaboration?
Sure. So as you outlined, it's extremely difficult. Although we have a lot of digitization, it's very difficult for businesses to transact digitally. And the reason for that, I could point to two factors. One around access and second around affordability. So one is, how do these small businesses, think of someone as small as a hawker, a street vendor, have access to any of these ecosystems. And how does that access happen in a manner that's affordable to them? The transaction costs for them to connect to these systems, for them to participate with these systems, is extremely low such that they can be onboarded. We saw this even in India when something as simple as a KYC, which we often do in the financial ecosystem, when that was at the cost of, say, roughly $20 when it was completely physical, most people stayed away. When we brought down that cost from $20 to a fraction of a dollar, you saw huge formalization. And so therefore, I think it's important to look at the entire life cycle of a small business's activity in terms of incorporation, how they trade with each other, how they transact with each other, how they transact with the government, taxation, where taxation is a part of them doing business rather than a separate compliance activity, which again, if it's too expensive, they stay away from, so on and so forth. So it's important to look at this entire map. There are many challenges in each part of this life cycle, essentially around access and affordability, and then say what are the key digital building blocks that could be created. Things as simple as credentials, digital payment systems, mechanisms for digital trade, as was just shared, and other mechanisms that lower the barrier for them to establish trust. And I think if we can lower that barrier, then we'll see much higher participation of small businesses in these digital ecosystems. And it's also important that there's an incentive. Many a times we view this just from the lens of compliance, but it's important that there's an incentive like access to credit. Today in many economies, including India, even in the tax-paying base, only about 10 to 12% of small businesses have formal access to credit. So if that can go from 12% to 40, 50%, that's enormous. And that becomes an incentive for them to then digitize. So credit, insurance, some of these other mechanisms, if we think of it from that lens, then it actually becomes quite fulfilling for them to participate digitally. Otherwise, many of them also stay away because they don't want to come under the radar and many other fears and concerns, in addition to costs that they may have.
Okay, affordability, access, establishment of tasks and cost. That's one of those obstacles. Then next to Thailand, Kun Kukkong, you previously shared with us about payment system and digital infrastructure platform in Thailand. Maybe you can also share with us from the past and the current challenges and obstacles and concern when implementing those transactions.
Please, can you show my slide? Yeah, this one. This is, I would like to conclude from, I think, is my experience and also experience of a lot of people that have helped build the infrastructure together from payment, from NDID to the PROM-based. The first challenge is that when you do something like the infrastructure or the new digital platform, it involves a lot of stakeholders. And this one, you need a collaboration. The collaboration, when people come in to join and build something, you have to think about the direction from the BOT. I think the three open is quite important. One is open infrastructure, another is open data, and the last one is open competition. The last one is quite important. When you come in to build the infrastructure, you should not try to build it at the competitive advantage for certain party. It have to be the platform that open for the innovation and competition. So that is the quite big challenge when you do this kind of thing, because we come from a different industry, different organization. They always have their own interest. But when you come and help together to build the platform. You have to leave those things behind and try to build the platform that can help create innovation and competition. Okay, so this is the first thing about the collaboration. The next thing that when you come in, they always have the legacy system, legacy platform that need to connect it together. Like in the example in India, you cannot rebuild everything or build everything, or replace everything. You need to connect it together. So the connectivity is quite important. This one is another open from the BOT. It's an open standard or open API. In terms of technology, right now it's quite easy that you can integrate ecosystem together to build it as a platform. So this one, if we try to build or replace a lot of legacy system, it won't work. So you have to know how the strength and weakness of each ecosystem and then try to integrate them together with open standard and open API. Yeah. The last one is that if you have to build the platform, it have to be the common platform that integrate everything together. This thing, for example, like POMBIT as well. POMBIT will integrate the supply chain together into the POMBIT. And so when we design the POM trade, when we have the ecosystem on the international trade, it requires that you need to integrate to the freight forwarder. You have to integrate to the NSW, insurance, bank, everything. Every one of them have their own ecosystem already in place. And if you would like to integrate them, it might not possible in certain cases. So you need to have a digital platform that every ecosystem can connect and exchange the data. At the end, about the digital highway, what you do is to exchange the data securely, efficiently, and reliably. So this is quite important concept that how we build our digital highway in Thailand in terms of the payment, the trade, and digital entity. Okay.
Thank you. I think while you are telling us the challenges and concern, I saw many smiley faces from the similar face on the floor who has been in the working task force when implementing this project together with Kukkong as well.
So may I make another comment? We just not build this for our own banking industry.
For the
Bank
country.
of Thailand always say that you have to build for the non-bank and fintech as well. So everything that we build at the digital highway is not just for the bank industry. It's for the non-bank and also the fintech.
It's for the community in Thailand, I would say that. Okay. Mr. Chun, can you also please share with us your successful model or partnership with the public-private sector, especially as they relate to data exchange, security, and privacy?
Yes. The most interesting in the Korean model is that we have a data exchange between the government, meaning that public sector and private sector, and also the private sector accordingly. So the government, the private sector, there's a precious data regarding the corporate or individual, but still. In our government has an initiative to open this data to the public sector for certain purpose. So, but also in the same time, we have in the digital era, every data provider or actually the non-financial world have an interest to making money by providing certain of the data in the financial world. So, but to do that, mostly importantly is about the legal framework, because actually I already mentioned the my data. So now in Korea, by having consumer consent in the mobile website or in the mobile phone, consumer can ask, my data goes to somewhere to certain purpose. To do that, we have a painful period for 3 or 4 years to change the law, and because we need to change the 3 laws together. So one is about the credit information, the other one is the consumer data protection, lastly for communication ITC law together. So it took around 3 or 4 years, and then lastly 2020 we finally changed the law, and within the legal framework, public to private, in the private sector, business grow together in the safe box. So my point is that to have a proper partnership or a collaboration between the public and private, or in the private sector itself, I think the legal framework should go first, and then they construct a highway by having the legal framework, and then in this system and legal framework, data flow for the making a new innovation and new ecosystem. And that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next to our guys, Kun Worawat. I just learned about new exciting project on digital services platform that you just make public announcement recently. Can you please elaborate on the initiative for developing the digital infrastructure in Thailand and its key components, and also how this infrastructure will improve the way business entity transact both financial and non-financial transactions?
So basically, as Kun Kukkong mentioned, right? So there are digital payment, there are digital tax, and there are digital identity. For businesses, we actually, it's digital on board, but for juristic, it's quite different than individual, because for juristic, you need, to identify the authorized signer. It's also like a legal document, because it's not just a company sign with another company. It's an individual signing to the bank. So we created a digital platform called Trustbit Connects. It's actually a collaboration between 3 companies, NDID, PCC, and BCI, which are the the service provider for financial institutions. And those 3 companies are specialized in 3 different things, digital identity, digital signature, and then digital document management. So basically, this platform is allow business to transact with other entity easily. For example, you can open bank account, you can sign a contract, you can apply a loan, you can consent, for like bank confirmation, etc., etc. So basically, the platform start with 5 essential functions. As you can see, we have electronic information exchange, where it will connect to trusted source, electronic KYC, electronic power of attorney, electronic sign, and electronic documents. Although this platform does design so that any future function can be added to the platform, and each function can integrate it with the other function quite easily. So as you can see, we might start with financial use cases, but at the end, if you can see on the left and the right, we aim to serve all entity, for example, governments, businesses, banks, or even individual level. So we serve not only the different type of businesses, but different size also, like a big, small. So we aim to ensure that even if you are small, you don't have investment, you don't have development, you can access this. So we have what we call a portal, where if you need like a simple use to use this platform, you can use it. Or if you need more complicated or complex use cases, you can access it via API, but it will require you to have some investment or development. But as you can see, from this picture, this platform is actually to serve everyone, no matter who they are. So it's open infrastructure and open competitions. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing with us the details of the services that Trustbit Connect will be offering to the customer very soon, right? Okay. About that, it's very innovative, very interesting. But how can you ensure the compliance with various regulations when utilizing these digital services, Kun Worawat?
Well, basic rules of good compliance regulator is to have a good relationship and transparent with the regulators. With this digital platform, our regulators are EDA, who are actually, the regulator of this. What we did is we actually, update them, tell them, consult with them of what we are doing, so that actually they can consult us back, make suggestion of what we need to make or what we can or can't do or change some of the, module. And also, if there are regulation change needed, they would be able to assist us on that also.
Thank you. I think now we have a better understanding on how each country is advancing the development of digital ecosystem and digital services for business. Let's hear about the key success factor and key takeaway from our panelists. Can I start with Mr. Shetty?
Sure. So I think the biggest and most important success factor in any of these ecosystems comes down to governance. I think the key aspect of how do you design a digital ecosystem where regulators can regulate, innovators can innovate, and thus how do you embed governance within the laws, within the regulations, within the contracts, and then even within the code, so to speak, is extremely important. And what we've seen in India is ensuring that you create the right governance arrangements at the legal level, at a parliamentary or regulator level, create the right institutional setups, and then bring on board private sector at certain key parts of the transaction chain, so to speak, whether it's for digital ID, whether it's for digital payments, or now more recently around digital data sharing. That allows you to really leverage the best of both worlds. So in my view, I would say the most important success factor is really governance of these ecosystems.
Thank you. How about you, Mr. Chun? Can you share the key success factor and also your key takeaway?
Yeah, as I mentioned that I think the proper regulatory framework in place first, because anyway the private sector do the business within the safeguard from the law and regulation. That's the first. And second one is about the ecosystem should grow accordingly based on some innovation encouraging framework. So because the technologies grow fast, and then we need some culture to apply aggressively to innovate our business. So that is the second thing. And the last thing, because we somewhat ahead from the Thailand in terms of the data sharing, but we found out more and more they're integrated, easily transfer somewhere. So in that aspect, the consumer protection and data security is more important than before. So last thing also fundamentally important. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's hear from the expert from Thailand as well. Can we start with Kun Kukkong first?
Yes, my key takeaway is the 3C and T open. The first one, as I said, is collaboration with open competition. So when you come in to build a digital highway, digital platform, you should build the platform that help people to do the innovation and do the competition. You don't want to build the competitive platform for yourself. That is the first one. The second one is the connectivity. With the connectivity is an open standard and open API. So you don't want to build the connectivity with proprietary technology, because this will last long. So you need a standard like ISO 20022 or whatever that you try to build. Let's say for the trade, we will try to use the UNCFAC as a standard. The last one is a common platform with open infrastructure. You want to build the platform that everyone can connect, not just the one that built it. And this will help foster other sector as well that not involved when you build it, like non-financial or fintech, so they can utilize that common infrastructure beyond your imagination. Okay, that's my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you. Kun Warawat.
So it's like Kun Kukkong said, first I think key success factor is collaborations, because a lot of people who are, in the projects are actually competitors. So, you need to make sure that the communications are clear, the pain points are stated, the solutions, the requirements are there. Secondly is the standards, to follow the standard, to set a standard for everyone to follow. Especially, and another one is the security, because some of the time, the user doesn't understand the security. So these platforms need to ensure that the security is there. You have to think for them. And last but not least is the customer themselves. You need to, build a system that is easy, simple to use, for them to trust, and to ensure that, they can learn. They can build the journey with the platform, because it's not easy to get the user to use one platform, especially if it's a new one. So you need to think for them and to ensure that they can use it easily. That's about it.
Thank you. Well, it's been very interesting to hear about each country from success and story from our panelists. Especially, we have seen great stride and exciting project that such as India Stack, Korean's public-private sector model and SME ecosystem, our Thailand's Prombit NDTP, Trustbit Connect project that come into fruition in a very short span of time. They will definitely continue to revolutionize the economy resilience and relevance to today's challenging market. Well, we come to the end of our session today. We hope you guys find this information from this session valuable. We also hope you can see how embracing digital transformation into business is a priority and see the opportunity from that. Thanks everyone. Thanks our panelists for sharing their insightful information to us today. And thanks all the audience for joining us. Let's give a big hand to our panelists. Thank you.